So the idea is not to talk about why you should not grow, because growing is part of what we are doing. Everybody's growing, and if you ask a Google or a Facebook, you want to start growing, they would probably say no. The idea is why you should not only focus on growth. So if you are a startup, you know that you have two options. Basically, you can begin bootstrapping, trying to make your own technology and try to grow alone, or with little help, or you can go and ask for funding. There is a steady, there is a stable way, there's a less risky way, and there's another one, which is faster, ultra fast, with a lot of visibility, but also with a lot of dangers. So let me ask you a question first. If you had a little chance of making $10 billion, and you had 100% chance of making $10 million, which one would you choose? So maybe you can answer the question, raise hands. If you want little chances of making 10 billion. Who would say, I want just 1% chance to make 10 billion? Who wants 100% chance to make 10 million? Okay, and I see. So all of you guys, the majority, doesn't care about growth. You don't care about growth. You want just a small amount of money. Well, a lot of people think like that. A lot of people think like that. But what we hear in the news, what we hear in the blogs, what we hear is we are looking for the big growth, big risks, and that's another path. So none of the paths are good or bad. It's just that you have to know what you're looking for, what is expected to happen to you if you choose one path or the other. Let me talk about myself because, just to give a little bit of credibility of what I'm saying, serial entrepreneur, several startups. I worked as a country manager at Rocket Internet. I was also one of the co-founders of Angel Labs. We went around the world and taught family offices, rich people about how to do investments in startups, business angels type investments in startups. And today I'm a co-founder of HEC. And today at HEC, since 2 years, we've decided to bootstrap, just to bootstrap. And I'll give you the reasons why we did. And I don't know if you're familiar with Rocket Internet. I was one of the country managers when they arrived to Turkey. We managed a business with initial investment, 8-digit initial investments. We grew the company in less than a year to more than 400 people. And after 1 year, we had to shut down the doors. So I have one aspect of it, and I'll have another aspect of it, and I'll tell about the two aspects to you today. So if you're a startup, you're beginning your startup, there's something that we teach you. Who has never seen this? Who has never seen this? Okay, some of you have never, okay. I guess everyone else has. So this is called the startup financing cycle. If you're beginning a startup, basically this is what we will teach you. This is what you will read in books. This is what we will teach you in an incubator, in an accelerator, is this cycle. Generally, startups follow this cycle. So what happens? You have an idea. You want to grow a business, you have an idea. What happens next? You go home, you have your idea, you begin prototyping. You begin developing or constructing a product on your spare time, weekends, nights. Maybe you have a buddy, a partner, and you begin doing it together. And once the prototype is ready, what do? You go outside, you find someone that wants your prototype and say, look what I have, what do you think about it? And often it's not good enough. You go back home. You create another prototype, you come back, and you cry, of course, and you come back, and he says, wow, that's exactly what I wanted. Great, now you have a prototype that will serve someone for his problem. So what do you do next? You want to create a company, right? And then problems begin. You need the paperwork, you need a lawyer, you need an accountant. Maybe you need raw materials to begin constructing your product. Maybe you need a developer. Maybe you need a salesperson to go sell more. Maybe you need a customer rep because now you have a customer that will come and say, I have a problem. All these need financing, need money. So the first step of financing is the initial phase is generally we call it the seed capital. It's family, fools, and friends money, or you can go see an angel. And you have, after that, what we call the value of that. So initially, the value of that is you have your early adopters that buy your prototype. So they're the early adopters. They're the people that like to take risk, like to test new things. So they will buy it because they want to have a competitive advantage. They want to solve a problem, and they're not afraid to take risk. They buy it, and then you have the value of that, which means that you're not able to find your global market. So you said nobody has to like your project. It's right. The early adopters don't need to like your idea. But after that, you need to go global to grow, right? You need to pass this value of that. You need to find new customers, and then you need more money. What happens when you need more money? You go, you see a VC. A VC in early stage will invest, I don't know, several hundred thousands, $1 million, $2 million. We call that a Series A. It's the first round of VC you get, and then you give some percentage of your company to these investors. Perfect. And then after that, we'll have Series B, Series C, and then if everything goes good, you will succeed. But here's the good, bad news for you guys. The real truth that you have to know. 50% of all companies die in the first 5 years. It's not me who's saying it. It's the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Very serious. Serious guys. They did the analysis, and they said 50% of the companies die in the first 5 years. So each one of two of you who is starting a company will die in 5 years. Of course, it's not only startups. There are all the businesses, bars, restaurants, barbershops, all other type of companies that are not startups. But there's even there's another truth. It's even harder. So Harvard University study says that 70% of VC-backed firms fail in the first 5 years. So 50% of the companies, all companies fail in 5 years, but VC-backed companies, 75% of them fail in the first 5 years. There's something that doesn't add up. So how come? Because if you're starting a company, I tell you, I give you 100 euro, you start your company, and I tell you, but if I give you this money, you have less chance of succeeding. Weird, right? Well, actually, you have to understand the VC game for that. You have to understand the VC game. How does a VC work? To understand that, we look at another statistics from Harvard University. Says that actually 95% of the ventures never return initial investment. So I'm a VC. If I invest in 20 companies, what I know is only one will make my money. Okay, what does this mean for you? You got VC money, what does this mean for you? This means for you that actually if you're one of these one companies, you have to return to your VC more than 20 times what he invested in you. Because he's not making his money. So you are the guy, you are his champion, and you have to run fast, and he's gonna make you run. Okay, this is not a bad thing. It can be very good for some businesses, huh? I mean, Facebook did well, Google did well, Uber did fantastically well, they all got VC money. But to understand this, you have to understand how does a VC work. How does a VC work? A VC, generally, you have the managing team. We call them general partners. They will go and raise funds. They will raise these funds. They will knock on the doors. They will go see a rich guy. They will go see family offices. They will go see pension funds. They will say, I'm raising that amount, and I promise you that I will return this money back to you times X, and I will return that money in 5 years. So the time lapse can vary, but generally it's 5 years. And the investor will say, okay. And once he said okay, they will raise the money. And we call them the limited partners, the investors. When it's done that, it will try to get his return in 5 years. Actually, that's one of the reasons why 75% of venture-backed companies fail in the first 5 years. If I'm a VC, I want to return in 5 years, and you're not one of my winners, what do I do? It's very easy. I don't put money back in you. You're one of the 19. I don't put back money in you. I want the one guy that will make all my money back. Okay? So, and the rest will not return my money. So that's the VC game. It's the game. You have to understand how it works. You can accept the game and go and run really fast, and because you're a runner, or you can choose another path. Because everything is making your investor happy. Because also, I mean, when you grow, the investor wants you to grow because he wants the 20x back, at least 20x back, because he makes money on the success fees too. So if you can get 40x, it's better for him. He will ask you to run really fast, but he will tell you, no, but I mean, if you grow, it's fine. Because if you grow and you run out of money, what's happening? Well, you'll go back and you'll raise another round. That's perfect. And if you still grow, you'll go back and you raise another round. So if everything goes perfectly, you make a lot of money. That's perfect. But if it doesn't, you don't make that much money. And that's where ultra-fast growth is really dangerous, because it takes you away from the path of business. You only focus on one KPI, which is what? Growth. I want more users. I want more traffic. I want more of this. Okay, but at the end of the day, to grow, you need more salespeople. You need more developers. You need more customer reps. And then you have a burn. Who knows what's a burn rate? You know what's a burn rate? Yeah. So you have burn. You have to spend money. But you don't look at what's coming in, right? You're really focused on growth. So a lot of companies died like this. And when you're bootstrapping, actually, you tend to focus really on growth. So if you raise money and you're going to focus all the time on growth, you have to know that at one point, you need to have a sustainable business. Don't be trapped in that. So it can be very dangerous. And all the idea behind growth is actually for VCs is just to make sure that there's traction. They want to make sure that in the market there's something that is appealing to their product. There's a traction, there's a market validation, and this is something that will reassure them that they're going to get their 40 times X back, 40X back. So who knows about Quirky? Do you know this company? So these guys, actually, one of the things that I wanted to mention here is that generally we know about all the successes in the world, but we don't know about the companies that raised a lot of money and they were not successful. Quirky was here before Kickstarter. So what happened is they launched in 2009. So it's an invention platform. People will come and put their inventions there, and other people will vote for them, and the best one will be selected. It's exactly the same thing as Kickstarter. They have raised 185 million, and what happened with them is they only focused on growth, and they ran out of money because they would also handle the fabrication process. They will create the products that get the most of the votes, and they will try to sell them. And while doing that, they ran out of money, and then they filed for bankruptcy a few years later. Steve Jobs also, you know this guy, I guess. And you know that actually he created a company, and in 1985, the board kicked him out, and he was not able to run his company anymore. He was spending so much money that the board said, okay, we have to cut this out. So he had to go away. Of course, these are extreme examples. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, he never lost control of Facebook, but he learned from the past experiences, and he learned from the dangers, and he put that into his advantage. So effectively, VC funding is just only one path. There's another path which is bootstrapping, which is more steady, stable, and where you can have more control of your company. So there's one thing that I want to also mention, because we always hear about these companies that raise more and more money. When you go on Crunchbase, you have everyday startups that are raising VC funds. Well, do you know how many VC startups get VC money in the US per year? 300. There are 600,000 companies created in the US every year. 300 of them get to raise VC money. So basically, less than 1% of companies will raise VC money. Your chances to raise VC money, statistically speaking, is very, very low. But there has been 736 acquisitions in 2015 in the US. What does this say to you? Well, it's easier to get acquired than raising money. Yeah, that tells me that too. It's easier to get acquired than raising VC money. And actually, we have examples of that. We have a lot of examples. There's another thing I want to say about the dangers of extreme growth. When you get VC money, you have less. Okay, this is maybe very personal. It's for me, for example. At Ezekiel, we have raised family funds to start. And when you raise money from your beloved ones, when I say beloved one is friends, family, your father, your mother, your uncle, your aunt, it's really hard to disappoint them. When you have VC money, it's not your money, it's not your loved one's money, and it's so easy to spend it. And VCs will tell you to spend it, because the more you spend, the more you prove that you're growing. And when it's your money or someone else's money that you love, it's harder. If you fail, it's harder. So you put really a lot of effort on it. But this is a very personal thing, and I mean, for me it works. I think it works for a lot of people too, and that's one of the key points I want to say. So how do we do? How do you do if you don't have money to grow and to make a successful business and to sell your business? Be one of the 736 startups that were acquired. How do you do that? You don't have money, you don't have anything to invest, because they say that. They say you need money to make money. You have to put money and to make money. So how do you do it? Well, you get smart. You be inventive. You automate. What does it mean? When you raise money, what do you need it for? You need it to spend in marketing. You need it to spend in salespeople. You need to spend in bigger office. You needed to spend in customer reps. You need to spend in... How can you get rid of those? Today we have funded Ezeko. So Ezeko is a startup. We do machine learning and big data. We founded this company 2 years ago. And today we have clients in 5 countries. We're 10. We're not big, 2 years for 10 people. If we had VC money, we'd be much bigger. But we paid dividends last year, which means that we're profitable. And what we did is we took the strategy of what we would do if we had VC money and tried to make it cheaper. We told ourselves, if we had VC money, we'd get more sales representatives. We'll get more interns. We'll get more sales assistants that will go and make phone calls. They will email. They'll try to get appointments. And we developed ourselves a tool today that automates all this process. Today, I'm talking here, and I have robots in the back working, trying to send messages, emails, try to find contacts online, try to crawl the internet. Once they get answers, they try to fix appointments. And once they fix the appointments, we're only 2 sales representatives in the company, and we go and we try to sell this to our customers. So everything, prospection, we automated, everything. We created APIs that are easy to use so that we can outsource the development. When we outsource the development, any outsourced developer that we hire from another country, it can be Turkey, it can be India, can come, we just give them the API and they know what they have to do. There's very easy to learn. On the customer reps, we have only 1 customer rep. Why? Because we try to have a really, really good code. We need a good coding system, a good program that works so that we have less calls from our customers. You try to be inventive. You just try to do how it says. And now we have options. If we want to grow faster, now we have better options. Do you know Plenty of Fish? So Plenty of Fish is a dating company. So this guy, Marcus Friend, he's Canadian. He wanted to learn PHP. And he said, I'm just going to develop a site with it. He developed a dating site, and the site grew to 90 million users with 3.6 million active daily users. He owns all the company, and he was so popular that he got acquired by Match for 575 million. I think it was in 10 years or something like that. This proves exactly to me that actually really steady growth is sometimes as efficient as if you just go and raise money at a VC. Ben Chestnut is the founder of MailChimp. So Ben Chestnut has a really interesting story. His father met his mother during the Vietnam War. So he's half American, half Thai. He was always excluded from school. He didn't have a lot of friends. And in 2000, he applies for a job. And at the middle of the interview, he realizes that the job is not what he applied for. And it's a banner designer job. So the money was good, and he accepted the job. It was in 2000. And then he learned how to make people click on banners. He created so many banners. He learned what works and what doesn't work, and how can people know how to click on banners. And then once he learned that, he created a company to help other companies convert. And these clients, they said one day, hey, Ben, we need to send emails. Do you have a solution for us? And they began trying to solve their problems manually, creating the emails for their customers, and trying to send them so that the conversion rates on these emails would work. And they had to do so much manual work. They were overloaded. They asked themselves how we can do better, and they created a tool for them to easily design these emails. And at one point, Ben decided to just give this tool to their customers. And the customers loved it, so he opened it to everybody. And that's how MailChimp began. And eventually, they closed down the agency, and they concentrated only on MailChimp. And today, MailChimp, even though they got many times asked by VCs to invest in the company, they never accepted because they had a vision, and their vision was the vision they had was not following the VC's opinion. So They continue to grow steadily. Today they have 12 million customers with $400 million revenue projected in 2016 with 550 employees. That's really good success for me. Github is another one. So these guys, they bootstrapped from 2007 to 2012. And in May 2011, so after 4 years, they had more commits than SourceForge or Google Code. So they were the leader of the market in a way. And eventually, these guys had the option. They didn't raise money to grow, but they grew steadily. And at one point, when everything was stable, they raised eventually money from Anderson and Horowitz, so there's a mistake there. And then they had raised $100 million in 2012. So for me, everything is not about choosing which path. For me, the two paths work. You just have to know what are the downsides and the upsides. Read about it, try to learn what happened. Try to know that if you get VC money, you will lose some of the control. You will lose the seat on the board. You will lose 2 seats on the board, which makes sense because the VC puts money in your company. They want to know where you're spending the money. And on the other hand, you have the bootstrapping, which in some cases works, some cases doesn't work. If you look at Facebook, you needed the VC money to grow really fast because the size made it that a social network works. If you don't have the size, it doesn't work. And on other type of businesses, bootstrapping will work really well. So for me, there's no magic. You just have to take an informed decision. And the real place where you have to start is, do people want what you're selling? And also if they're ready to pay for it. That's exactly it. So I think I'm a little bit early. I have 9 more minutes, so I'll take some questions. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Thank you.